Subtracting decimals. When subtracting decimals, we must line up the decimals. And it's important that to note that we may need additional zeros to line up. And we begin by subtracting from the right and we move to the left. So let's look at this first example. Solve 54.23 minus 3.40152. So we put the 54.23 here. We're going to put the 3 here and then the decimal. So we keep the decimals lined up. 40152. And we can go and then start subtracting. Except we need to add zeros. And we need to add 3 zeros in order to keep the top and the bottom the same amount of decimal places after the decimal. So then we can start over on the right and move to the left. Notice we have a 0, and we can't go 0 minus 2, so we're going to need to borrow. And we can't borrow from the next 2, so we're going to have to go all the way to the 3. Take the 3, make it a 2, carry the 1, which makes it a 10. Now this becomes a 9, that becomes a 10. We're going to borrow from here, that becomes a 9, and then that will become a 10. So now we have 10 minus 2, which we can do, which is 8. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 1 is 8. 2 minus 0 is 2. And then 2 minus 4 can't be done. So we need to go ahead and borrow from the 4, make it a 3. Then that 2 now becomes a 12. So 12 minus 4 is 8. We bring down that decimal straight down. Now we can go to our 1 spot. 3 minus 3 is 0. And just 5 is there. And this would be our solution to this first example. Now let's go on to another example. Example 2. Solve 7.03 minus 1.052. So we have 7.03. We're going to subtract 1.052. Now before we start subtracting, we need to add this 0. We line up our decimals. Now we can start on the far right. Notice this is 0, so we can't do it. So we need to go ahead and borrow. From the 3, make it a 2. And now that 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. 2 minus 5 can't be done, so we're going to need to borrow. We can't borrow directly to the left of it, so we need to go all the way to the 7, make it a 6, make our 10 spot a 10 now. But we're going to need to borrow, so that becomes a 9, and then the 2 becomes a 12. So now we can go ahead and subtract. So 12 minus 5 is 7. 9 minus 0 is 9. Bring down that decimal. 6 minus 1 is 5. So this would be our solution. So let's go ahead and look at one final example. Solve for the following. We have 31.639 minus 12.1681. So we have 31.639 minus 12.1681. So we've lined up our decimals. We're going to add that 0 to make it even on both top and the bottom. Start by subtracting on the far right, but we can't take 0 minus 1. So this 9 becomes an 8, which then will be carried over. So now we have a 10 minus 1, which is 9. 8 minus 8 is 0. Now 3 minus 6 can't be done, so we're going to need to go ahead and borrow from the 6. That becomes a 5. This becomes a 13. 13 minus 6 is 7. 5 minus 1 is 4. Bring down the decimal. 1 minus 2 can't be done, so we're going to have to borrow from the 3, make it a 2. Carry the 1. So 11 minus 2 is 9. 2 minus 1 is 1. And that would be our solution.